All right, so first of all, let me thank the conference organizers for being bold enough to get a non-design person to stand up and talk. Yeah. It's always risky. You heard a lot of things in the morning in the panel discussion. I'm here because at Whirlpool, we believe design is the growth engine of our business, yeah, and a lot of what we do reflects that. Essentially, today, if I look at it in any industry, technology and functionality is no longer a differentiator, right? Almost anybody can make equally good product, technologically sound products, equally good feature-rich projects. What really differentiates and creates consumer value is design. Okay, and that being so, it becomes equally critical for the brand to stand out on its design. And in Whirlpool, design is very closely integrated with marketing, more so than R&D and engineering, and we do that for a reason. And the role of design in our organization, as I believe it should be in many others, is really to create or engineer products that are consumer relevant, innovative, and appealing. So in that perspective, design plays a very central role in everything we do, and I'll try and give you some examples of how we apply it, how we approach it, and what we expect out of a design team. Design senses and imagines. It is, the rest of the organization is a left-brained organization. Okay, companies are created with a lot of logic, analytics, numbers, linear thinking, etc., etc., and it's essential. The diversity that a design group brings to any company, and rightly so, is that it's just the opposite. Right? It's right-brained, it's creative, it's unfocused, it's path-breaking. Half the time it doesn't know what it's thinking, but it's thinking something useful. And that is the value that a design group brings to a company that is running and managing a business. Marketing, engineering, technology, etc. can have ideas, but only design can give shape to it. Ask anybody with a left brain to draw something or to show something, they would struggle. They can describe facts very accurately, but they cannot give shape to ideas. And that is the role that design is expected to play, and plays very effectively in our organization. And out of that comes a creation of desire. Yep. Somebody spoke this morning about creating desire. When you see a product, you create desire. And that is based on facts, understanding, needs, insights, etc. But the shape to the idea comes out of design. Design is form, shape, and human interaction. Now this is a very, very important one. Design should be intuitive. Half the time when a consumer, even I as a consumer, look at a product, the first thought that comes to mind is, where is the instructions manual? Yep, I reach for the instructions manual. The second thought that comes to mind, which consumers would never admit, is, am I so stupid that I can't understand this product very well? Yep. And at that very point, you put the consumer off. Right? So design should be intuitive. There should be no hesitation for a consumer to approach and interact with the product, and they should, more so, should do it naturally. There should be nothing that is required to tell them how to use a product. The second one is the physical aspect of it. Yeah, we talk about human-machine interfaces, and typically in this day and age, when we talk a physical aspect of a product, the first thing that pops to mind is touch screen. That's a buzzword. You touch a product, you expect the screen to go on or something to happen. Now, that is not all that is about it. It is about the tactile nature of the product. How does it feel to your hand? Does it feel strong? Does it feel warm? Does it feel cold? How does it move around? So much so that as you interact with it, you should lose yourself, yep, and enjoy the process of being, in our case, with an appliance. Design is appeal. You know, at the end of it, you're standing on a shop floor, consumers are comparing multiple products and they're wanting to buy one. The salesperson is walking from one to the other saying this is better than that, this has got that feature, that's got that feature, etc. At the end of the day, consumers buy with their eyes. Yep. They look at something, they like it, and then they spend the rest of the time trying to find reasons to buy it. Yep, irrespective of what the salesperson says, they're justifying the purchase to themselves. So if they fall in love at the first sight with a product, the battle is almost won. And that's where, in our company, design plays an extremely critical role. And there's another important thing here. A product the consumer likes allows you to demand I shouldn't say the word, irrational premium. Okay. What does it mean? There is no logic for pricing. Right? Once the pricing mechanism gets into a logical mode, okay, it has these alloy wheels that cost so much, okay, it's got this, that's got so much, it's got that, it's got so much, they have a long bill in their hand. Right? They tot it up and say, okay, is it worth the money? But once you have emotionally engaged the consumer and they fall in love with the product, then the price is what you ask. Of course, you ask within limits, which all of us do, but the battle is won at that very point. We looked up the definition of engineering. There are two. One is, as we all know it. The second one, the action of working artfully to bring something about, is also engineering. That's creation. That's creation. That's imagination. And that's design. Design brings together the technology and the consumer. It's a critical cog in the wheel of product creation. I'll give you an example of what we believe has been a good design coming out of the Whirlpool studios in India, which is this. This is a twin tub washer. For those of you, most of you would be unfamiliar with it. It is a very entry-level basic product, costs about 8,000 to 9,000 rupees to the consumer. It's typically bought by a consumer who is buying a washing machine for the very first time. And in a lot of cases, this consumer is saving up for 6 months to buy it, or in some cases, borrowing money to buy it. In this segment, we are able to charge a premium of 1,000 to 2,000 rupees over and above what the consumer is willing to pay, simply because the product is appealing to them. And it is not surprising that the year it was launched, this won the Edison Award for Innovation in the US. We were very surprised because it was not in our radar screen. Someone around the globe spotted it and said, wow, this is innovative design. And why is it so? It has good features, everything that's expected out of a washer. You stand on a shop floor, this is what you will hear. Great wash system, fantastic knobs, nicely placed, scrubbing system, drying system, blah, blah, blah. This is important. I'm not saying it's not important, because without this, the product will not work. What won the battle for us was the unexpected. Very simply put, the consumer goes through a manual process while washing. Okay, they sort clothes, they move clothes around, and they use detergents and other aids. And look at this machine. The lid of the wash tub doubles up as a sorting bin. It doubles up as a basket to carry the clothes to the drying line. Okay, it's got draining holes. So you leave it on top, it drains into the tub itself. Then you carry it to the washing line. The lid of the drying side doubles up as you see, a table to keep your detergents and other washing aids while you're working with the machine. And surprisingly enough, it has a handle and wheels. Now, why does it have that? Many of the consumers who buy this machine don't keep it at one place. They store it somewhere, and when there is need to wash, they push it to where there is a tap and a drain. And when the job is done, they push it back. So all it took for design and marketing to say that, hey, what if I put a handle and wheels on it? And for engineering to find a way to make the machine stable with the wheels on it. Right? And you have a winner in your hands. Now that is design. That is consumer leveraged design. So let me close this session by saying that the criticality of good design to commercial success of any company just cannot be overstated. Design is all about consumer insights and understanding technology to bring about innovation and creation of an idea in the marketplace. Okay. So with that, thanks for having us. We do believe the design community is a critical part of our business, and have a good rest of the conference. Thank you. Oh, there is a Q&A? Sure. Glad to take it. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. I'm Chakravarti, professor from Industrial Design Center, IIT Bombay. You've seen that the country has a very large population of people who can't afford washing machines.
Yeah.
So what is the effort you're putting in to see whether you could get in a very, very low-cost washing machine, which will be around 1/10 the existing price in the market?
Yeah. You know, we've got a few projects running that are trying to get absolutely to the low end of a washer. Okay, I will not be able to talk in detail about it, but let me give you an example. The very first washing machine in the world was invented by Whirlpool. Okay, this was 95 years ago. What was it? It was a tub, right, with agitator and a handle on the side, right? And this was in the US. So the consumer would put the detergent in the water in the clothes, grab the handle, and go this way. Yeah. That is the lowest cost washing machine one can ever think of. Right? Life has evolved since then. We obviously, our mission, as Suresh was saying this morning, is to get to every home everywhere. Yeah. We're not able always to do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a washing machine. It can be with any appliance that improves a consumer's life. Yeah? And we have a few projects going where we will get there. Yeah. And this example I showed you is probably the lowest end washer that is available in the country today.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bala, hi. I can hear you, okay? The first washing machine. It's a good question. I can repeat it for the audience. The question is, why has the refrigerator not changed over the years? It's still a cuboid box.
It's not a good design from the cooling point of view, right? The cuboid form.
It actually is. So let me answer the question. It's a good one. A cuboid is industrially a very efficient format. Yeah? It's most effective to produce. It's very effective to pack. Imagine packing spheres versus packing cuboids. So for a certain volume, it's an efficient space, right? And it cools well. Now, it is not correct to say that refrigerators have not changed. Yeah. There have been a lot of changes. Is that the example here? No, there isn't. Okay. We have a product called the Proton World Series. Okay.
It's a cuboid again, right?
It is a cuboid again. It absolutely is a cuboid again. Now, typically, the refrigerators have what we call a refrigeration compartment and a freezer on top. Right? A predominant proportion of the population in India is vegetarian. Okay, so the refrigerator is used in a way that is predominantly on the RC space, fruits, vegetables, etc. We designed the first 3-door refrigerator designed specifically for India. Now, what does it mean? There is a third drawer at the bottom. Okay, I'm not sure if any of you have seen it. It's a sliding drawer at the bottom, which is the fruit and vegetable crisper. So when you access fruits and vegetables, which is what you're doing most of the time, you don't need to open the whole refrigerator. You just need to open the bottom drawer. Okay. And not only that, it also allows you to save energy because you're not opening the whole refrigerator and letting the air out each time you use it. Okay. That product today is about 7 to 8% of the market itself, which did not exist before, and we still are the only company that is making it. Simply because The design is ours, we own it, and the technology is also unique and patented, which only we can do. So refrigerators have evolved over a period of time. They still, unfortunately or fortunately, look like cuboids, but there is a whole lot of stuff going on, like multi-doors, etc., variable temperature zones, which are adapting to today's consumer needs.
Why are the refrigerators not in a horizontal format so they can fit in a modular furniture usually that is there in a kitchen?
Oh, there are some.
Not in India,
not in India, but we sell. We actually sell some in the built-in appliance space, yeah, where it's almost like a Lego block. You can fit it into any cupboard you want. The refrigerator and the freezer are separated, so you can buy 2 refrigerators and 1 freezer, or vice versa, depending on your needs, and they are fitted into the cupboard, so you won't know it's a refrigerator. The door is the door of the cupboard. It's built in, and it's pretty much what you're suggesting. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ashish from Elephant, and this is in context with the next session which is going to happen, which is about design research. You talked about 2 insights. One was about the little tray in which you could carry clothes in the case of the washing machine. And in the case of the refrigerator, it was a little drawer at the bottom. You could save energy, space, and so on. How did these insights generate? Were they thinking of a smart designer, smart engineer? Did you do some research? How did you come across to this?
It's a very good question again. See, one of the reasons why design is aligned very closely with marketing is precisely that, so that we understand the consumer well. And our design team does a very good job of consumer understanding. They do stuff like they follow the lady of the house through her shopping cycle. Right? They go with her to the shops, they watch her shop, they go with her watching her carry bags, bring it home and stack the refrigerator. Okay, we call it a day in the life of the consumer. Right? And once you do that, you know exactly what they're doing, what is it that they're struggling with without articulating. Yeah. You're not asking the consumer, what do you want? You're observing what the consumer does and then predicting what would make sense to them. That's exactly where those ideas come out from. Yep.
Hello, I'm an industrial designer myself. At the start of the presentation, you had bifurcated product design, consumer design, and engineering design. Now, when I started my career, I applied to a lot of companies and everything. And most of the times I got rejected because I do not have an engineering degree. But, well, again, product design, it's a different field in itself. Obviously, I mean, it is quite related, as you said, marketing and even design works together. So I just wanted to know your insights as to how does a designer who is not an engineer kind of survive in this industry, and especially in India, where, well, engineer is considered to be gods.
Sure.
So.
See, I don't try and draw a boundary between product design and engineering design and any other design. At the end of the day, design is about imagining a consumer relevant concept, okay, and its purest form. However, working in a company, you're not being paid to create something that's looking great but impractical. Right? So you need to be able to relate to the factory, you need to be able to relate to technology, you need to be able to relate to the cost of creating the design. I do not think you need to have an engineering degree to relate to what the engineering needs are. It's quite the contrary. If you have an engineering degree, you may design like an engineer. Right? So there are pros and cons of both. So long as, and it's true for any function, not just design, any function is operating as a function. Right? Take marketing, take finance, take manufacturing, but you're part of the overall entity of an organizational ecosystem. So long as you're designing with the company's needs in mind, and I call it a sandbox, you're working within a sandbox, right? And you're applying your creativity within a very specific brief. Right? You're not applying your creativity all over the place. So long as you're able to relate to the organizational ecosystem and understand what your stakeholders want, it is not an issue. It really is not an issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be taking that as the last question. Yes, sir.
I really appreciate these two concepts which Whirlpool has come out in the market and then really successful in the market. It's a great job by the designers and the team. I just wanted to check, ask you that is this development happening as on a live project, or there is something which is a parallel organization which develops these concepts,
it's
kind of keep it ready on a shelf and then dock it to a project?
You know, one could argue this both ways. We do not have a separate organization working on the future. Okay, it's all done as a part of one single organization. Why is that? It is important that everything we do is innovative and is good design. Right? The moment you separate from the future from today, you look at it very differently. Right? Today becomes all about making my sales number for the month. It becomes all about making my profit numbers for the quarter, and it stops there. Right? And then you design for a future, and typically when you ask somebody to design for the future is 10 years away. Right? That's the way we are. When we said futuristic, whoops, 2020. And then you come through 2015, you come to 2016, and you figure out that what you have next is for 2026. So what do you do? So we don't separate the two. We try and make everything we do as futuristic as possible, as consumer relevant and innovative as possible, and we believe that it is the right way to approach. Okay? All right, thank you.